Hello, listeners and readers of AwardsWatch.com. This is the Awards Watch Podcast, episode 321. I'm your executive editor, Ryan McQuade, and joining me today is Cody Dericks.
Episode 321. Hell yeah. Blaze it. Sweet, bro.
We are here to, well, first of all, Cody, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I feel like you haven't been on in like forever.
It's been a little bit. Yeah. Scheduling is hard.
Where you been all my life?
Oh, what a sweet question.
I know. Well, Cody and I, we talk all the time. One, Cody works at this website, for God's sakes, and does great reviews. But we always are talking all the time, and I'm like, why am I not talking to Cody Dericks like every day of my life?
Scheduling, baby.
I know he's busy. He's busy. I guess. Am I busy? Moderately, I guess.
You are. Yes.
Too busy?
I don't know. That's a question only you can answer.
It's probably probably too busy is the question. We're here to talk about the latest film from James Cameron, Avatar: Fire and Ash.
Mm-hmm.
Big Jim's back.
Yeah, baby.
When did we start calling him Big Jim? Did we all just kind of collectively start saying this the last couple of years?
I think after he kind of nailed it with the last Avatar, where it was like, what now?
Yeah.
Try and stop me. And it was like, all right, Big Jim. Because I saw a lot of people calling him that in anticipation of this movie.
That's fair. I feel like I was calling him a lot of Big Jim before even Way of Water was coming out. Maybe it's just like, did I create Big Jim? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to say that.
Well, you were a hater. So
that is true. That is true. Well, okay. Well, yeah. Okay. That we want to get into our relationships with James Cameron. I think we can, as we talk about Avatar: Fire and Ash, the latest film in the Avatar saga. That's from director James Cameron. That's following the Sully family and the ongoing episodes of Pandora. Right. That's just a good, easy plot synopsis there. Okay.
Calling them the Sully family is funny for some reason. It just makes them sound like they're humans.
The Brady Bunch.
Very not.
No, they are. Well, I mean, kind of
humanoid.
One
of them was a human.
One of them wasn't. One of them is a human.
Long story. Don't worry about it.
Like an adopted child.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Spider.
Right? Spider. Mm-hmm. Oh, we're going to talk about Spider. We're going to talk about a lot of shit that I have today for this movie. Yeah. But Cody, yes, I think that the best place to talk about is relationships with James Cameron and with this franchise. For myself, I was a known skeptic of James Cameron for a long time. I just thought a lot of the movies I saw when I was a kid didn't really remember and never really stuck for me. Also I just remember the whole lead up to Avatar, the first one. And it left a really sour taste in my mouth. A lot of people really loved it, and I just never saw the big deal of it, especially when I was in high school. And I didn't see it in 3D, so I think that was possibly a problem as well.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Well, I just was like, I was under the opinion, and I still technically am under the opinion, a movie has to stand alone without its gimmicks. And
now, what would you say to the fact that what if it's not a gimmick and it is the filmmaker's preferred method of watching it? You watch a black and white movie in color, and then it doesn't have the same power.
That's fair.
I understand what you're saying, but
yeah, it's like, I know this is a fair question, because it's like some people over the holiday season are going to watch It's a Wonderful Life in color, and I'm going to tell them you are fucking insane for doing that. Even though,
or what about if somebody was like saw Wizard of Oz on a black and white TV and was like, that was bad, and it's like, well, yeah, you have to see it as the filmmaker intended with color,
like with color. Yeah, that would probably like not be the best, right? So probably not seeing it in 3D was one thing. Plus, also just the time that we all went as a group didn't line up well that day either. And I was not going to go back, because once I saw it one time and I didn't like it, no excuse to go back to a movie again if you don't like it, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so, but shout out Jay Ledbetter. We love Jay. Over at our old place that we used to do stuff at In Session Film, we did a movie series over James Cameron, and I was sort of kind of converted back into the hive of Big Jim. I still do not like the first Avatar. I think it is a bad movie, like all around. It really is bad. But The Way of Water, I absolutely loved. Like I loved its goofy, silly, wild, bombastic nature. I thought it was such a big swing. I thought it was visually, and I saw that in 3D and in IMAX. And I was like, God, this is in Dolby too. And it was like, this movie is undeniable. So my anticipation level for this one was at an all-time high. Cody, what about yourself? Big Jim, Avatar. Start with Big Jim first and then Avatar. Like, what do you think of this man?
Big Jim, big fan. I'm a big fan of this guy. Yeah, it's funny because I posted my updated rankings of the Cameron movies today now that the Fire and Ash embargo dropped, and you and several others were like, why is True Lies so low? Because I have it ranked lowest of his films that are not documentaries or Piranha 2.
I was going to bring it up, but I'm glad you're doing this for me.
Yeah, well, my answer to that was like, it's a good movie, but the man made 2 Terminators, 3 Avatars, The Abyss, Aliens, and Titanic. So, like, of course it's below those movies because, I don't know, to me, it's undeniable the impact of those films. To me, I also see him as somebody who, and this is a bit of an unfair advantage that he has over modern filmmakers, but he's still making movies in the way that promotes the idea of cinema as an experience that has to be viewed in a theater. And to your point, I do agree that maybe there is something lost if you don't see it in exactly the way that the director wants it, which is, to your point, 3D, high frame rate, huge screen, etc. But I also don't subscribe to the notion that, like, well, I watched it on my phone and it wasn't as good, so therefore it's a bad movie. Like, I think if you are seeing the piece of art through the medium that the artist intended, that is the best way to experience it. In the same way that looking at a famous painting on a magnet on somebody's fridge is a lesser version of that piece of art than seeing the actual piece of art in a museum. It's just not the same. And
that's fair.
For me, Cameron is operating in a filmmaking style that emphasizes the visual elements of a visual medium to their greatest effect. So that thrills me. Titanic, I believe, might be, it's not my favorite movie or I think the greatest movie of all time, but it might be one of the greatest achievements of film as a medium. And I've said this to you before, where it is using every tool that is possible of this artistic medium that we love and using it to the nth most degree, using excessive, melodrama in the story and visual splendor in the images, huge sound and music. And it's about, conjuring up a feeling rather than maybe something like more critical, which I'm not giving it a pass. There are problems we had with the James Cameron script. We can talk about that. But for me, I am more okay with getting swept up in his world as imperfect as it is than watching something that is like more technically writerly or maybe not as silly or derivative, but is lacking in other departments.
I got to tell you this about Titanic because we haven't actually talked since the last time I watched it. So, my cousin and her 2 sweet little British girls came over the summer, and they've been watching a lot of like movies from her childhood. She was born in the early 80s and kind of grew up in the 90s. So Titanic obviously is like a big touchstone movie of the last 40 years. There's no denying that, And so they were like 2 little girls that are like 10 and 10 and 4 telling you, can you watch a movie with you? Like, you're not going to say no. There's just no way you're going to say no, even if you're about to watch Jack and Rose in the boat and you know how it all is going to play. I'm telling you, Cody, like I was dreading it all day. I was like, we could just go swim or we could just, I'll buy you each a whole gallon of ice cream and I'll just deal with the consequences. And they were like, nope, we want to watch Titanic. And then I watched, we watched the first hour for it. Like it was like bedtime for the girls. And then we finished the movie the next night. And I can tell you this, it was like, I get it. Like I wanted to text you in that moment and just be like, I get it.
Yep.
I get it now. I still think the movie has issues, but to your point, I'm like, I get why this movie is like the obsession of a generation, Why, like, if it goes to theaters this weekend, it'll make another $40 million.
Hmm.
Why it's like an undeniable achievement because it just knows how to lock an audience in, and an audience at all ages. I saw three generations of women, my aunt, my cousin, and these two little girls just glued to a television screen. And I was just like, it's not my favorite movie at all by any means. But goddamn, if this wasn't like one of the coolest experiences I had in 2025. And that, of course, I just think speaks to the power of James Cameron. And I kind of now of the mind of in our era of our lifetime, Cody of the right 18 years that he's been on this planet, and myself the 33 years, because Cody's so young and vibrant.
I'm older than you, bitch.
I'm trying to give you a compliment. Just shut up. That like this is up there with like how we talk about the difficulty of like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And we talk about like the importance of what Lucas did with the Phantom Menace, even though like that movie's a mess, like pushing the forward trajectory of VFX and then of course the Matrix. Like Titanic is definitely in that realm, along with like Jurassic Park 2, where it's like all these movies from that sort of 15-year era that we didn't learn a big lesson from. I think in a lot of ways, the way we make blockbuster filmmaking,
not a lasting one, at least. Yeah.
Not a lasting one, but there are still people that understood that that's the way to make movies. And that's the way to connect with audiences is through like that feeling of emotion. Like, I think that's what Greta Gerwig does. I think that's what Christopher Nolan does. I think that's what Ryan Coogler does. I think that's what Jordan Peele does now for a new generation. Or I guess Nolan's still technically our generation as well. But
Yeah.
but James Cameron then slips away for like a decade plus, and then he gives us Avatar. So where were you when you first saw Avatar, and like were you excited for it when it came out, like, or were you like skeptical, and then like what did you think of it, and I mean I assume you watched it your ponytail connected to the seat in 3D and everything, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was connected to AWA. Yes, I saw it. I think it might have been the last movie that my entire family saw together in theaters. My
Really?
dad, my mom, and all three of my brothers. My parents are still together. My brothers are still around. It's just that that's not a thing that happened much after that fact. I was in college, I was away.
It's
And
crazy. So like when do you guys get together a lot? Like all of y'all?
it's I would say like twice a year probably at this
Okay.
point. We're all
But you're
scattered across
not
the
but you're not
country.
going to like a movie when you guys are together.
No, it's like we have to like
We are at
but
the
also
house.
it was less that we're not in the same space as much anymore, and more so that Avatar felt like the thing you had to do that Christmas season.
Yeah.
And so I remember standing on a line, even though we had tickets to get into the theater, which might also be the last time I had to do that.
Remember when we had to do that when we didn't have reserved seats?
Yep.
I mean, see,
I did that for Force
kids,
Awakens. That was the last one.
I
But
did the same thing.
nowadays,
Kids
otherwise
don't
you wouldn't know.
understand that anymore.
Nope.
They've got it so easy.
You
Like
got to line up for a good seat if you don't want to sit in the front row.
Cody, you remember the double VHS Titanic probably
I
better than you remember.
I know the line when you change tapes. Whenever that happens, when I watch it now, that's when I pause the movie, take a bathroom break.
That's the right way to do it. I mean, like I remember distinctive covers and the bulkiness of that more than I remember, some of my closest friends' birthdays or stuff like that. Like that is a memory that just is burned into your brain of like, yeah, I remember what it was like, where exactly it was on the shelf at Blockbuster, and how it endured so long.
Mhm.
And yes, I remember that as well. Which point it is to stop at halfway through. But what did you think of Avatar?
I was pretty swept away by it. I think it is kind of a stunning technical achievement. The
Okay.
original. I have such fondness for it. I saw it a few times in theaters, and I saw it again when they brought it back before Way of Water, and I was right back there. The dialogue is beyond cheesy. The story is nothing new in its like in its big strokes. But I just totally get swept up in the emotion of it all. It's like opera, where it's
Hmm.
about the big emotional sweep. When the tree falls, I feel that. It feels impactful. I think Zoe Saldana's performance is unbelievable in that movie. And I think she is part of the should be given a significant amount of credit for that film's success because she buys into the motion capture and the inherent silliness of the movie completely. She is so committed, and therefore the audience has permission to give themselves over to the movie in a way that like I don't think Sam Worthington's doing in that movie. He's better in the sequels, but he's not very good in that first one. So yeah, I really like the first one. The second one, same. I really enjoyed. I don't get as excited by it because it does feel kind of just like a return to form as opposed to something new, even if it is exploring new things within its world. But yeah, I mean, I'm also just kind of happy for something that looks this good from a major studio nowadays. Which again is why I think Cameron deserves credit because he is still using these like tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars that studios are giving him to make a movie and is giving you a movie where you can see the money on the screen. I just looked at a list of most expensive films of all time because it's just it's not really a headline anymore in movies.
It's really like a evolving door, it seems
made.
Like. Yeah.
Right. But like there's some crap up here. Like I'm sorry, Deadpool and Wolverine is the fifth most expensive movie of all time, and the movie looks like garbage.
How much
Avatar Way of Water is like 10 spots below that. Like, how is that possible?
I remember the thing I remember so vividly about what I loved about Way of Water is that it felt like I was watching a documentary about going under the water. Like it felt like I was there. And this is no shade to Ryan Coogler. No shade. This is not shade at all. This is fact. When I watched those underwater sequences in Wakanda Forever, I couldn't see shit in that movie.
No.
And then you go and watch literally a month later from the same company.
Yep.
From the same company that's releasing the same, they've got it's all under the Mickey House, right? And you watch what James Cameron's doing from a visual standpoint. It's like, this is ridiculous. This is like no one even can come. There's only, I think, maybe one person in the world that could come close to giving you a sense of like scale like this. And even they probably would never touch something like this. And that's Christopher Nolan. Like that's probably the closest person that can get there with the resources. Like if a studio just wanted to give an endless amount of resources. Now he doesn't, we're going to see that with the Odyssey next year. We're going to see just what like endless resources can do for Christopher Nolan. But this is also years of someone's life. This is decades of somebody's life. It was very funny, like on the red carpet, before we get into our Fire and Ash stuff, it was very funny on the red carpet, Variety asked him, like, when are you going to do Avatar 4? And his wife looked at him and said, I just got him back. Like, what are you talking about? Like, a fourth one? And it is kind of curious, though, because we assumed that these were going to be, there's 5 films in this whole story.
Yeah.
Being kind of reported out there that this might be the last one, or it's maybe just the last one for him. It's being kind of positioned that way in a lot of articles, and in like the way he talks, he's like, well, if it makes money, we kind of completed this story here and da. And so I'm sure we'll talk about that, Cody, because that felt like kind of weird out of the blue. Because I felt like we had 2 more trips to Pandora over the next couple of years. Like I'm fully invested in this crap. But anyway, this movie's coming out. It's all about like fire and ash. And they even did before we saw, did you see the trailer before Fantastic Four where they like at the press screening where they literally showed us this trailer? Did you have an experience with that?
No, I couldn't make it to that one, but I did get I remember getting an invite to go to the screening of the trailer, which I've never.
Nobody does that anymore. Nobody gets that. Like they just released the Spielberg one online today. Like it was no big deal. Yeah, exactly. The way Steven Spielberg would have intended.
Thank you.
And like, and then they were like, no, we're going to show you the Avatar Fire and Ash trailer, and we're going to show it to you 4 times in 3D, with Dolby sound and everything.
Oh, they played it on repeat?
They did. They played it 4 times. I watched it just 2 times because I'm not insane.
You're like, I'm good.
And then they were like, oh, and if you want to go to your screening for Fantastic Four, it's next door after.
Yeah.
And I'm like, What it was so weird. It was like the only reason to go to Fantastic Four, much
Hmm.
like the only reason it seems like for some people to go to Fire and Ash just to see like 900 Marvel trailers over the next like 2 months. But
Great.
this
I didn't
movie,
get because it was a screening. I didn't get trailers for this movie, but I did get the pre-roll of James Cameron being like, "No AI was used in this film." Did you get that too?
okay, I did, and I wasn't.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to bring it up until later. I got. We can talk about that in a minute.
Okay. Okay.
I have a specific point about the film that I want to talk to you about, and it involves that.
Hmm.
But yes, I did see his sort of anti AI thing at the beginning of this. Only Big Jim kind of
Yep.
rocked. I was super like
My
I
audience
was
cheered.
I
Yeah.
was laughing my ass off at the fact that
Uh,
like this is probably I don't know if it's going to play in front of theaters for people.
I
Kind of
hope it
hope it
does.
does,
I
but
really hope it does.
if it does, that's great. But then also it's just like these people probably went through 45 minutes of trailers and now they're going to get another 5 minutes of James Cameron preaching
Worth
like
it.
AI is bad. And I'm like,
Well,
you
I
know
think
what?
it's
This
also
is
good
actually
because
more than the trailers, in my opinion.
yeah, it also shows the actors behind the scenes and like footage next to it. So it reminds the audience like,
This is
don't think
real.
that this is not based on you keep calling it digital makeup, which I think is a good
That's kind of good.
analogy. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, the movie's out. 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Hmm.
It's a big boy.
Oh yeah.
Big present for Christmas.
Sure.
Cody, your thoughts on the fire and the ash of Avatar?
Sure. So what is very clear about this film is that it is not only a direct sequel to Way of Water. I'm very glad I rewatched Way of Water the day before because it relies a lot on your knowledge of that film. It is almost a direct continuation. And I think the word is that this story of Way of Water and Fire and Ash was originally one film. And you can absolutely feel that. It is such a direct continuation of the last film in terms of the villain trajectories, where the heroes are, settings. You know, even though this is called Fire and Ash, there's way less Fire and Ash than I thought there would be, which is a bit of a disappointment because the little we do get of the Fire and Ash tribe was the best stuff in the movie. We can definitely talk about that.
Hmm.
Overall, I think this is probably my least favorite of the three Avatar films, but I still really enjoyed it. I think it is about on the level of Way of Water, if not a slight step down. And I've seen a lot of complaints about how this is kind of hitting the same beats again. It's almost like the same movie as the last one, to which I kind of want to say, like, what are you complaining about? The last movie was great, and this is more of the same. Now, that sounds maybe reductive or like I'm making an excuse, and maybe I am, but I still really enjoy my time watching this film. And I think what it does differently than the last film does is it really expands the visual language of these films. There are some scenes in this movie that are like straight up psychedelic, some trippy stuff, almost out of like 2001, that really excited me and showed that James Cameron is not set in his ways. He's willing to expand his visual palette and what he's willing to show the audience with this movie, especially when it comes to other characters' perspectives. But overall, I had a really great time with this movie.
I think this movie, it's not the worst Avatar. I still think the first one's the worst.
Sure.
Um, Everything you said about it is on point. This movie is the dumbest thing in the whole world. And I love it with all my heart because it's
Hmm.
so sincere. You know, Cody knows this about me. I love the films of the Wachowski sisters. I do.
Me
I
too, buddy.
love those movies. And I love movies of that era because they understood that like that emotionality thing that we were talking about earlier with James Cameron and just emotion was the thing that drove it, right? And the spectacle came with it, but it was really about the characters and it was really about that emotional journey you're going on. Like the Matrix rules because it is built off the power of the love of Neo and Trinity. And all the other cool shit and lore is what builds is around that core central relationship for all four films. And for this franchise, it is all centered around really what I think has been so key to the last two films has been centered around this family. and Cameron's like ability to understand like Jake's story along and how it can evolve from it being just about himself and his journey to being about having these costs of having a wife and having kids and having outside things interfere with his sense of duty and his honor and everything that goes with it, his sense of being Navi and essentially of being a human. And I think that that's what's, what he's sort of clashing with in the first film. But then you add like this emotional layer to it with it now. It's like he's picked a side, but now he has to protect it. And so it's been very fun to watch these last two films because while there is this emotional core of this family drama and dynamic and action film, and the spectacle is just larger and larger as each entry has gone on, James Cameron also decides to do some of the silliest, dumbest shit with hundreds of millions of dollars I think I've ever seen in my life. But visually, you can't take your eyes off of it, even if logically it makes absolutely no sense. And then I'm going to go back to it now. Then there's just the stuff off the screen that in moments where it is just setting things up or it's moving action along or whatever the case may be, slower moments of the film, my brain can't go to, yeah, they are kind of all just actors in a with dots on their face kind of doing these things. And then what was so funny is this one, as opposed to in Way of Water, because James Cameron showed the anti-AI bit at the beginning, I was thinking about the ridiculousness of the actors, like Kate Winslet having that scene with Sigourney Weaver.
Silly.
It's so fucking silly. But then also like Sigourney Weaver, a 70-year-old woman, potentially like if I don't know, potentially kissing a 15-year-old boy because she's playing a 14-year-old girl. Like it's so silly and so stupid. And yet, and the by the way, Kittrich's whole like comeback and involvement in these last two movies makes no sense. It makes no sense. Or Porch, yeah.
Porch?
Yeah, sorry. I thought his name was Kittredge or something. I'm sorry.
Porridge.
Yeah.
Porridge.
I had no idea. Like I couldn't remember because I didn't watch The Way of Water, like how he came back. I just was like, and that's the thing. I just kind of accepted it.
Yep.
And I think that's what you got to just do because this is kind of like, when I equate this to the old Planet of the Apes movies. There was a lot of dumb shit. Have you ever watched the second Planet of the Apes movies where like the people, like not the Andy Serkis ones, I'm talking the old Charlton Heston ones.
60s, 70s.
Yeah, where like there's telepaths that like control nuclear bombs under the planet, and they go off, and yet somehow they go the scientists, chimpanzees, go to the same trajectory through the space-time continuum back to the 1970s. We all just allowed that to happen for 5 films.
Like, what is the problem with that? No, I don't go to a movie called Planet of the Apes because I'm looking for logic. I don't go to a movie about space whales and blue people and go, well, actually, this scene, the dialogue's a little hokey. Like, I don't care. And again, maybe I'm making excuses, but I think people are way too, like, logic pilled. And it's like internet brain, lack of, like earnestness, irony brain, just bullshit that I just don't have time for. You want to go to the Avatar movies because they're a great time. Your eyes are going to be happy for 3.5 hours, which is more than you can stay staring at your phone all day, and you're going to be swept away. What more do you want?
I think it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe problem of people nowadays. That's like they can't enjoy these movies anymore because Marvel has conditioned them that everything is continuity, everything is IP, everything has to make sense, everything has to flow the right way. I mean, like I'm not making excuses for these movies because I think they're all horrid, but like the Snyderverse had to go through this problem where like Man of Steel, like they blew up these entire cities in the finale of that film, and then they're like, some idiots online are like, didn't they like kill like millions of people? Like, I thought Superman wasn't supposed to kill people. And great impression by me, by the way. And
Lovely.
and yet then so like the next film they have to explain all of that, and it just takes time away from actual plot, character development, anything interesting. And so James Cameron just comes from the mindset of like what you're saying, Cody, like you bought a ticket to this. You knew what you were getting yourself into. So that's not an issue to me. I actually
No.
find a lot of that to just be like it comes with the job of going to see a 3.5 hour Avatar film. What I do take issue with is I do think that this movie is a bit of a retread of a lot of the great things found within the last film. But I think a little bit of that is that he had this giant story and he kind of repeated a lot of the same stuff in terms of just, structure. But I think that that's how all of his films are technically kind of structured. So I can't really blame him for that. I think the ultimate problem, and this is actually something out of his control and out of your control, and really, Cody, out of your control, is that like I was just accustomed to these movies coming out once a decade. And so the time between the first one and the second one
Fair.
is why that movie felt so grand to me. And this one feels like so familiar. It's because I saw the last one like 3 years ago as opposed to 10 years ago. And I think that like if you see the same thing over and over again, like you would a Marvel film or something, like there may be a little bit of deteriorating product. That being said, there are action sequences in this third act that are still some of the best you're going to see this year. The newer elements are a bit ridiculous. I think like the fire people and all that. Like I think it's kind of cool. I don't think it's like fully tapped into all the way
No.
and like its potential
Yeah, I
because
completely agree.
he set so much up in the last film and set so much up in this that he has to focus on those, and actually introducing anything new here is sort of at a detriment because it doesn't get to be fully explored.
Well, ironically, for a film so long, he almost doesn't have time because,
No, he
to your
doesn't.
point,
No.
he has to keep following the story he set up in the last one. And I really do agree that the last one felt really exciting because it was a return to literally return to Pandora, and he nailed it. And it was a reminder of why everybody loved the movies in the first place. Why, after 13 years of being made fun of for having no cultural impact, he came back and proved people wrong.
Mhm.
And now this third one doesn't feel as heralded. It doesn't feel like, oh, he has either something to prove or there's going to be something inherently new because we waited 13 years for this. It's only been 3 years. It is a direct sequel to the last one. And yeah, there is a bit of a step down in terms of it feeling
The
exciting.
awe factor, I think, is the thing that's a step down, right?
I agree. I agree. And to your point, the new stuff is kind of great, but it is wildly underexplored. Varang, our new villainess, who is incredible.
Yeah.
She does not have enough screen time, and she really just disappears in the third act. So I'm really hoping that they make a fourth one so that we can see her, more of her. Because yeah, there was just not enough of the new stuff explored in this one. It's a lot of bringing things back from Way of Water.
The problem also too sometimes a little bit with the film is that Cameron can't help himself from being such a sentimentalist as a filmmaker that he doesn't actually make too many bold enough decisions with these characters. I equate this to the blockbuster problem. And I know people think that this is a harsh thing that I say sometimes, but we don't kill enough characters enough in blockbusters.
Yeah.
And we don't trust an audience enough to let them go. I mean, for God's sakes, Disney is bringing back Robert Downey Jr. to try to member bury all of us into giving billions of dollars back to them. So I'm not just saying that this is a James Cameron problem. This is the Hollywood death problem of IP characters. Like, and also the idea of like, if you really do care about IP, like let it carry on through other people. There's stuff in this movie is like this is a spider movie, and I'm not talking Kiss of the
A
Spider
lot of
Woman.
spider. Yeah.
This is the spider movie of the year, not Kiss of the Spider Woman. Sorry, J-Lo. Because he gets a lot to do. and this becomes it becomes like the companion piece to one battle after another because it's two men fighting to get this child back. That's their surrogate child. And one of them is the father and the other is like the father that stood in.
And the villain also has a relationship with the very people that he hates. There's a lot of parallels.
There's a lot of parallels in there. Yep. That other film is a little bit more focused, I would say, than this one.
Yeah, that's a better movie.
Yeah,
we can agree.
Paul Thomas Anderson doing Avatar 4 kind of would be into it. I would watch it. But no, I just think that it's some of the stuff with that character is. I'm surprised Timothée Chalamet on the Marty Supreme tour hasn't decided to play the character in the future because my God, it's a weird character. It's a very weird character to center everything around. Also, then like Sigourney Weaver's character, what's her character's name again? It's Curie, who is essentially
off the top of my head. Didn't even have to look it up.
I knew I could count on you. Is essentially the one. She's Jesus. She's Neo. She's Luke Skywalker. She's the chosen one. And we just at this point we're accepting it. Like all the other kids, really, like, yeah, you can like get this council of whales together, but like you kids don't matter as much as these other two. Well, and I find that to just be like at any point, James Cameron, when there's conflict or something, he just throws either Spider or Curie out there, and it just like solves all the problems. And that's a little bit frustrating because it's just like, damn it, your logic. I understand I don't care about logic in this, but even by your own standards of logic, you are just, it feels like at times he's kind of riffing and making it up as he goes. And like what are the endless powers with these people? Because but then that's when it just gets really silly and you're just like, all right, turn it off, turn off the brain. Because he doesn't even fucking know what he's doing anymore. And that's kind of cool to just kind of ride with it. But then, I don't know, the action is just damn cool. And Edie Falco's in like this weird suit and whatever the fuck she's doing, where she's just like walking around and she's just all happy. And whoever thought that from The Sopranos growing up she would be doing this? But yeah, it's such a wild film. Like to just kind of describe it and like break it down, because logically it's not going to make much sense if we explain it to everybody. Is it like the ultimate vibe movie? Is it like
I would not call it vibe because it's very plot heavy, but you do have to tap into its wavelength. And to your point about Curie and Spider, I agree. They are just kind of plot, like beanbags that get tossed around. But notably, Curie is not all powerful. She's powerful and she has exceptional ability, but there's a very important scene later in the movie where she finally gets to meet somebody and she does not get there by herself. She needs the help of her essentially adopted brothers. And I think that is pretty smart because it would be really easy for Cameron to just go, oh no, she's like AWA incarnate. Don't worry about it. Immaculate birth, Messiah, Savior. She's the one, blah, blah, blah. Chosen one narrative. We've seen it 1,000 times. It's not that simple. There's a little bit more wrinkles to it than is usually found in movies like this.
No, I do agree. It is just funny when just like a new power for her though emerges. And and then like Spider gets a tail in this. All that was wild to me. I was just like, a freaking course he's gonna get a tail. Also, when who's Zoe Saldana's character's name? What's her character name again?
Which one?
Zoe Saldana's character.
Neytiri.
Thank you. Okay. Well, I'm gonna screw up names otherwise if I don't ask you. When she's like wounded after the first battle, and she goes to where like Jake's old colleagues are at, I totally forgot that those people were up there and existed in that area. Is that like a place that they talk about in the second film? That like,
sorry, which area?
Where like it's in like the caves, right? And they all like kind of retreat there after the first battle in Fire and Ash. And she's like, and this is where they like they're like his old friends in the military. It's Jake Sully's old friends in the
Oh,
military up there, and
sure.
they like are experimenting on Spider first to like see like they discover the tail and all that stuff. Like, do you watched Way of Water before this? Is that like in that? Because I totally
Those
forgot that they
characters
were
pop
up
up
there.
super briefly, but they go to the water tribe. They
Okay.
so our main group doesn't travel to find them because it's a big deal in
Mm.
this film at the beginning when they decide to leave the water tribe to
They're
bring
going with
Spider back.
they're going like with the air tribe
Yes.
there, right?
Hmm.
Which
The
I guess
pirates, basically.
yeah, where they're going with the pirates, which is the head pirate David Thewlis.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I spotted that and I went,
Yep.
that's badass.
Yeah,
That's
I
like
assume he'll have more to do
for
later,
every
but
dumb thing, there's a badass thing. Like I can't.
that's the James
That's
Cameron
the
way,
James Cameron
baby.
effect.
Come on.
Like I thought about like as the whole like escape thing when they have Jake, but also a little untapped was the whole like, why would Earth give two shits about Jake Sully and the whole like why would he care? They care that he was a traitor or that like is it because Earth's trying to move there? Right? Is
Yes,
that the
they're
whole
trying to
point?
make it because Earth is fully
Like
uninhabitable. So
okay,
they're trying to
it's like a
completely
full
colonize
interstellar
Earth,
situation.
and so they
Okay.
need to get rid of essentially like the brave heart of the Navi,
Oh,
which is
okay.
Jay Sully. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I kind of figured that's what it was. I didn't really like dive into it too much, but I was just kind of like curious about it. Um, I mentioned to you that there's been there's been this weird buzz around it, and Cameron's been kind of just like just go see this movie and then we'll talk about it later about the continuation of this thing. Like, where do you see? Because this is a definitively closed chapter of all this. Like, like even our villain technically kind of passes away by the end of this thing. Like it's like there's no going back from that. Of course, no is anybody really dead in franchises anymore? Like but
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like, oh wow, Quaritch is dead. And then it's like, well, he was
in
also
the
dead
first one.
previously. I think to me, the ending of this film, because I also was surprised at how definitive of an ending it almost feels. You can see room for continuation. You can see more like there's more adventures to be had, especially because certain characters we don't get the resolution, certain villains. But I do think if they wanted to, this is maybe a bit of a fail-safe in case this movie is not a huge hit, the huge hit they need to be to say, yeah, we want more sequels. It could hypothetically be the end of a trilogy, which actually, if it was, would feel very appropriately Return of the Jedi. Like, where the first film gets you into this world, the second movie expands that world in ways you didn't know were possible and is even more exciting in certain ways. And the third film is a bit more of the same, has some moments of enjoyment, has some silliness, is less well received than the other two, but is still generally a good film. I would say this
Yeah.
movie is better than Return of the Jedi, but it does follow the pattern pretty cleanly.
Well, this movie has a whale court.
Council of Tolkien.
Yeah.
Yes. I got
And
very
I,
excited and I wrote that down.
and I was like, "Oh, okay. So we're doing that
Hmm.
cuz that's badass." See? Once again, great
It
thing.
is.
Would I would have loved to see them wear wigs? Yeah, I would have.
You want
Underwater wigs.
a nice unit?
Yeah, I'm thinking so.
Lace
Something.
from the Tolkien. They did
I
have
w-
piercings and like
I'm telling
adornments
you,
and
they were
drapery and
the
such.
whales are the coolest things about all these
Yeah.
movies in general. Like,
When they said Tolkien matriarch, I sat up.
I I was like,
I was
okay.
excited.
Yeah, I didn't need to have any more caffeine. I was like, I'm ready to go. Like I was literally at my
Absolutely.
see. I think this movie is going to make a crap ton of money. So I'm not worried about that from that standpoint. Like
Hmm.
I mean, China's already projecting that it's going to make like 100 million just on opening weekend there, let alone what it does in the rest of international play, and then of course what it does here. And it always has legs too, which is like why it's been very funny to be like, oh, Marty Supreme and all these other movies are going to do so well during the holidays. I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not. There's one movie that's going to dominate the entire time, and then you have also the IMAX screens and the 3D glasses of it all and everything. And kids and parents,
Yeah.
families don't want to go see it. Um, it does feel though that like as we've been talking, and obviously you can take it to like an awards place. Like it does feel like though the vibe out there kind of just seems like okay, kind of it's kind of lukewarm. Like kind of like not like this is the event of the year. It's not like one big last hurrah. I do
Well,
kind of wonder about that was like, again, the too soon kind of narrative about it. But
maybe, but the thing about this movie is that unlike almost every other movie or franchise out there, everybody knows that you have to see this on the big screen.
that's true.
People will wait to see Marvel movies on Disney Plus. I've done it myself. And that should not be the case for what are huge blockbuster movies. People, it's like the joke to your point is like, well, you can't watch them at home and they're not the same. And it's like, exactly. You got to go
Yeah.
see it in the theater. And you might not be able to rewatch it and have the same exact experience at home. So get your ass to the theater, strap on those welding goggle sized glasses, and sit down for 4 hours. And I think that helps the movie feel like an event. And
Yeah.
so and so James Cameron is delivering the thing that theaters need, which is a product that you can only truly experience fully in a theater, as opposed to again Disney, which has no problem having people wait to see Fantastic Four on Disney Plus.
Well, it also, if you're going to doubt this movie, doubt at your own peril because
Yeah.
you're not supposed to doubt Big Jim. That's like one of the cardinal things you're supposed to not do anymore
Hmm.
is doubt this man because he's made three movies straight that have made $2 billion.
Yeah, he's juggling himself in the list of highest grossing films of all time.
I mean, like he was like they were like saying, "Oh, there was an interview with discussing film, I believe," and I saw Andrew over there, and he had a conversation. James Cameron said, "Like, yeah, I want to split this movie into two, so then it's five movies." And the Disney execs were like, "Well, why do you want to do that?" And it's like, "Why are you questioning it? You don't want two more extra $1 billion?" That was what James Cameron said about the existence of this movie, and I was like, "Well, at least he's humble about it all." But Avatar, Fire Night, you're gonna see it again?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, I am. Yeah.
yeah. I think I'll go see it again. That's the other thing is it is
I'll be home for Christmas. I'll probably go with my family.
yeah. I mean, it's the one film you have to see in a movie theater and try to see it
I
on the
feel like
biggest
that and
screen
Dune are
possible.
the other one. Like people know you have to see Dune in the theater.
Well, yeah. Oh, franchises.
Yeah.
You're saying,
Well,
yeah,
movies in general. The only thing that gets people in theaters nowadays is the promise of something you have seen in theaters like that. Or if you're in the heyday of Marvel, you had to see things opening weekend because you had to find out what happens next before it gets
Mm.
spoiled online.
I would
Those were
say
the only things that really get people to theaters
I would
anymore.
say you're right about Dune. I would say you're right about Avatar. I would also say Christopher Nolan. He is a cottage
Yes,
industry
yes.
within himself. He got
Well,
people to sit there for 3 hours for
mhm.
a drama about the bomb blowing up in rooms, and it made close to $1 billion. So
Yeah. And part of that was because of Barbenheimer, but also part of that is because they made such a good job of highlighting the theatrical experience of saying, we shot on these cameras. It's not going to be online for another two
6 months.
months. You have
Yeah,
6 months. Yeah. You have to see it in theaters on the biggest screen possible.
yeah,
Find an IMAX, find a 70 mm screening, something, because it's the way to experience the movie. And then he goes through the movie, and it's a lot of close-ups of men in boardrooms. And I
yeah,
love that. I love
yeah.
that he convinced appropriately millions of people that the only way to see this movie about, again, men in suits having conversations about politics is on the biggest screen possible.
Exactly. And now he's going to convince them all, hey, come watch the Odyssey.
Hmm.
And they already have because those premium screenings, they sold tickets a year in advance and they're already all sold out.
Yep.
So it's like guys thinking just like Big Jim. That's why I equate it to Spielberg back in the day. Like I think PTA is kind of like Scorsese of our time, and I think that
Hmm.
Nolan is like Spielberg, and Big Jim is just big fucking Jim, and he'll
Yeah,
just be around
he's the James
the
Cameron of our
entire.
time.
He'll be the James Cameron of all of our times.
Yeah.
I hope that I hope that the movie. I know the movie will be successful. I hope that there's more of these. I honestly don't think anybody else can make movies like these, so I don't want them to hand this thing off. That's the other thing. But then ultimately, like, yeah, I also am cool with him doing whatever he wants. He's James Cameron. Like he can do whatever he wants.
He's earned it. Yep.
He's earned it. And I don't know if this movie is going to be like nominated for a picture or nominated for things. kind of at this point don't give a shit. You know, if fucking Wicked can be, be made and it look like that, and then you see a movie like this, I saw them like literally in like a 2 week span, and I went like,
Oof. Bad news for
one
Wicked.
is ugh, and the other one is like wow,
Yep.
So it's like it's that duality again of like what a blockbuster should look like and what it shouldn't look like. And then now I'm going to get shit for bringing up Wicked and getting fans mad. Cody, any last
Yeah.
thing you want to say about Avatar? And then we can get out
hmm
of here.
We didn't say enough about Varang, the new
Keep
fire
talking about her.
tribe chiefess played by Una Chaplin. Una Chaplin is incredible in this movie.
Yeah.
She's, besides Zoe Saldana, the best performance in any of the Avatar movies. She is so exciting and captivating and powerful and scary and sexy. She's, again, like Zoe Saldana, totally locked into the character. My favorite scene in the movie is not a big battle scene. It is not a trippy underwater sequence. It is a dialogue scene between her and Stephen Lang as Quaritch. Stephen Lang, I also think, is kind of incredible in this movie, where he is introducing himself to her. There's a sort of like trippy visual element to it. It is just so captivating. It's one of my favorite scenes of the year. Um, I think they're both amazing. I think this movie has some of the best acting of the Avatar franchise. It's a sad, dark movie. It's dealing with grief and loss a lot. Zoe Saldana, again, is incredible. Even Sam Worthington
I was
really
gonna
stepped it
say,
up. He was great in the last movie. He's great in this one too.
can we
He's
like talk
he's
about
really
like
found his groove.
he's found his groove in this, and him and Saldana just, I mean, they have moments here where, I mean, they're having to talk about the grief of their son, having to literally talk about whether they are going to kill another one of their
Yep.
family members. You know, Worthington's having to literally be trapped in a box. She's wounded. Like this is them. This is the movie I think where yeah, it does end up being like Return of the Jedi and they survive at the end, but they're still they're weaker than they've ever been. Like the thing that you know Carrie does to save them all at the end might be like the last thing that they can kind of pull out of their hat because you feel like they're still like they won this whole thing, but they're like dangling by a string. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
through
a
Worthington and Saldana's performances that they really just are able to show the sense of like dread and earnest and urgency needed within this family to understand that like we are going to lose everything if we don't win this thing.
yeah.
And even though Kate Winslet's got 900 accents going on, it feels like
She's so great.
she's so wild, and so it's so crazy that she's like, yeah, I'm just gonna fight this battle, but I'm also gonna give you this baby,
hmm
and so it's always death and life are in the balance there in Pandora. Yeah, it's I agree with you. Like it's a movie when I think about it, I just kind of smile and I just shake my head because we shouldn't have this. We shouldn't. And I don't know if we deserve it, but damn it, we have it and people go see it and go and explore this world
Yeah,
while we can.
I guess it comes down to like I wish I lived in a world where there was enough variety in film that this didn't feel so special, that I didn't feel the need to, again, maybe make excuses for some of its shortcomings, but like I just kind of want to champion it. It doesn't need my help monetarily, obviously, but I think people getting excited about this type of experience that can only be had on the big screen is good for movies.
Yes.
So I'm gonna be a little bit maybe effusive in my praise of it because I think it's an experience worth cherishing, and James Cameron clearly knows how to do that.
We got to be precious about these things. We only have 3 avatars. We have 900 movies in the MCU and
Exactly.
Jurassic Worlds and all this other crap. So, it's kind of, and also which auteur filmmaker gets to have their own franchise and make it at this big a level? Like
Exactly.
it
Right.
doesn't really get to happen. He's making something new for all of us right now. And if it's gone, then that means it's a little bit like when I was watching, I was like, man, if he goes, James Cameron, a section of films that usually get made, these big, bold action films, sweeping epics, sincere pieces of art. They're not going to get made anymore. It was making me think a lot about like how we don't have Tony Scott movies anymore, how we don't have certain era of filmmakers anymore. Like say what you want about like somebody, even like the action films of like Michael Bay. Like, those movies don't get made anymore. Like that's a section of the movie economy that just is gone, or it's on streamers, and they look worse than they were on streamers. And I just think about that every now and then with these older filmmakers. And Cody, we're like at an era where we're gonna start thinking about like our favorite filmmakers. They might be on a pitch count. Like they might be on like and that's a baseball term. I don't know.
I'm staring blankly at my Zoom screen.
You're like, what the fuck is a pitch count? So like when you're in baseball, you only have a certain amount of pitches that you can pitch before your arm just fucking gives out.
Okay.
And so
not
like
me, I'm strong.
Well, yes, but like
all day.
But like generally speaking, like pitchers can go anywhere from like 85 to 100 pitches, and in a single game, depending on like if they're giving up runs or if they're being effective. This is a baseball analogy that's going way too far.
I understand.
But if they're pitching a perfect game, like for example, like some people think for Big Jim, or some people for like PTA, or Nolan, or Fincher, or whoever are our favorites growing up. At a certain point, even though like Spielberg and Scorsese are showing that like they're the anomaly that breaks that rule, the average pitcher has a count. You know what I mean? And they know that like, hey, I can only get up to pitch 95 and I'm out of here. Like, so you have to kind of appreciate it. You know what I mean? Before it's too late. And so, yeah. And that's where I'm at with James Cameron. Cause it's like, that man's like in an underwater bunker making these movies in warehouses. And he's doing his damnedest to try to entertain us. And, I saw a critic go out there and said like, I hope this movie tanks, so then he can make something else. It's like, no, actually, you need this movie. No. Yeah, it's like, shut the fuck up. We need this movie.
He's making Avatar 4, or he's making a documentary. He's not going to go make True Lies 2.
Or if this movie tanks, you know what's going to happen? They're not going to make any of those.
Yeah.
And he's going to be done.
Yeah,
and a part of cinema dies, and you're an asshole. Like, you know what I mean?
He's incapable of stepping back.
Yeah.
He just, in the same way that Nolan is never, at least not of now, going to go back to Memento.
No,
it's not going to happen.
Like and that's the thing. It's like people have actively rooted against the inception or even the idea of Avatar for 20 years. They have. Like there's been the whole like culture. Well, no, there's been like the cultural like imprint and like what it is and all that, and it has survived and it's endured because audiences are really the only thing at the end of the day that matter. Has it made money? Has it been well within within the imprint of cinema? And it has so far. And I think it's going to do really well. I think he's going to make the fourth one. And I hope they bring back the seed bearer. That would be badass. That's what they should call that. You know what I mean? You remember when they were going to call it that?
Oh,
I think that's what they were going to call this one.
I saw that title. I went, James.
James.
You sure about that one?
Talk about Big Jim. Anyway, Cody.
Yeah.
Tell everybody where they can find you and all your work on the internet.
I'm all over the place at CodyMonster91.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Blue Sky at Ryan McQuade 77. If you like podcasts, we have the Direct Watch Podcast that's released on Thursdays. We just wrapped up our Claire Denis movie series. Next week, we'll have a new movie series. You have to listen to High Life episode in order to know what that's going to be. Not spoiling it here. Cody knows what it is. But iTunes, Spotify, 5-star reviews were greatly appreciated. While you're over on the website, sign up for the newsletter. It's the best place to get all the news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, all the extra stuff. And that's at AwardsWatch.com. Next week, it's not going to be a normal episode. It's going to be our end of the year episode. Everybody here is starting to tell me what their favorite movies of the year are. We're going to have some great discussions. There might be 2 episodes. It might be one long 5-hour episode. Like, I don't know what it's going to be yet. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do 2 or 1. I think I'm going to do 2. would be kind of cool to just do it that way, but we'll see. So best of the year episode, going to be great to talk to everybody about that. It's always one of my favorite episodes of the year. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you all next time.